This video is on the 2011 Ford Ranger XLT. This has a 6-cylinder in it, a 4.0 liter. Be doing an oil change on it. I did an intro video earlier. Things didn't go as planned. The oil filter did not come right off. Basically what looked like happened was they either put the filter on too tight, they did not clean the receiver properly where the filter goes, or they did not oil the oil filter gasket when they put it on there. Either way, it seized up on there. Oil filter shouldn't be any more than hand tight, maybe a quarter turn past hand tight if you got a weak grip. This one was way over tightened. Your drain plug should be about 18 foot-pounds. This truck holds 5 quarts of oil. I'm using the Fram XG2 filter. I think there's a TG2, Tough Guard, depending on which one you pick. Make sure you get the right filter, but I'm using the Fram XG2. I'm using Pennzoil 5W30 oil. Now most of the time, again, you can take these off by hand. If not, you'll need a strap wrench. This vehicle, it's hard to get a strap wrench into. The little space I had to get a strap wrench into, I couldn't get enough grip on it to pull it off. So I ended up having to run to AutoZone and get a adjustable type filter wrench to get the thing off. Crushed the filter, basically ran into some problems. On this vehicle, as you look under here, the brake release, computer port, hood release. On the Ranger, the hood release, once you pop it, is right here to the right. You're going to push this into the right and lift up on the hood. Sorry about the video, it's kind of hard to hold that at the same time. And the rod for the hood is right there. So I'm going to grab that. And there's a little eye hook right where it says prop. Just a quick check while I'm in here. That's my power steering pump. We've got plenty of fluid in there. My brakes are on max, so unless somebody has actually added brake fluid, the brakes should still be in good condition. If your brake fluid is dropped, you need to check your brakes. Do not add brake fluid to your vehicle. What happens is the lines are full of fluid because the calipers are pushed in. When you add fluid to it, when they change the brakes, all that fluid is going to run out over the top. So it's a sealed system. That fluid does not go bad. It doesn't go anywhere. It either leaks out or it's inside the caliper. So do not add brake fluid to your vehicle. There's a battery stamp on this, 9 of 18, so the battery should be in good shape. It's only 2 years old. There is some corrosion up on the terminals. We'll be checking that and getting rid of that. The coolant, the engine is warm right now. Coolant level is good. Washer fluid's empty, so we'll fill that up. And the air filter is down in here, so we'll show you how to change that a little bit too. Now before I take everything apart, I make sure I've got everything. In this case, I'm going to take out the drain plug. We're going to reuse the drain plug in the gasket. I've got oil, I've got a filter. I've got 2 towels. One towel I use for basically just grimy, greasy stuff. The second towel is kind of like my cleanup towel. And nitro gloves. This is optional for you. Now the good part about working on a small pickup truck or a pickup truck is you don't have to jack it up. Personally, I do not jack up anything that I don't have to, just for safety reasons. Something slips, something falls. I'm usually working alone. It's not going to be pretty. Now if you can see, my oil filter is up in here, so we're going to reach up through the hole right there and grab it. Drain plug's right there. It's a 13 millimeter, so we're going to pop the plug and drain the oil first. Now I'm just going to use a regular wrench. If you want to, you can use a socket on here. I'm going to use a wrench. Hopefully your drain plug's not over tightened. These only get tightened to like 18 foot-pounds, which is not very tight at all. So I'm in the back of the vehicle. I'm going to push towards the front of the vehicle to loosen this up. Lefty-loosey, righty-tighty. And it shouldn't take a lot of effort. And again, I don't know who put this in, so I can tell you right now it's way over tightened. And what ends up happening is you end up crushing the gasket. Well, maybe around the store getting a gasket, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so there's my drain pan underneath there, and this is going to be easier for you because you're not trying to stay out of the camera angle while you're trying to take the plug out. I'm going to turn it this way because the oil is going to shoot forward because there's pressure on it. And I try to do this so the plug just kind of drops in the pan and I don't end up with an armful of oil. So I'm pushing a little pressure on it so it doesn't just fly out on me. Once I get it where it's going, like right there, and I just drop the plug in there because we're going to clean the plug off in a little bit. This is where your dirty towel comes out. And clean off the big globs of oil in your hands. Similar to the oil plug, the filter should not be super tight. You should be able to almost get it off with a good grip. And again, somebody has cranked that thing on. I'm gonna have to go grab a strap wrench to get that filter off of there. Now, personally, I prefer pliers like these, so I can reach up in there and just turn it loose, lefty loosey, righty tighty, same as the oil plug. And again, I apologize, I may have to take this off, but I don't know if I can get in here with the camera and my hand at the same time. Okay, unfortunately for me that failed. Even with putting the plug back in, the strap wrench, you can't get in there. Vice grips, I'm going to crush it. This one's going to crush it. So my guess is they've either not lubricated the gasket when they put it on, which is most likely the problem. And I'll show you how to do that when we install it. Or they've just cranked it on there so tight that it just won't come loose. So I've had to run to AutoZone, picked up this little filter wrench. It's a expandable, adjustable. So basically just a reach around it. We're going to use a 3/8 socket. That's going to reach around the outside. When we go to tighten it, it's going to just grab around the filter. Should pop it loose. So I've grabbed a 3/8 inch wrench or ratchet, a couple extensions because I'm not sure what I need. And looking under here, looks like I dripped oil all over the place while I was gone. So let me clean this up and we'll get started again. All right, now that I'm under here, let's see what this does. Over. I'm going to watch that footage back. I'm not sure how much. When I watch that footage back, I'm not sure how much of that disaster I'm going to show you. That wrench got the job done, but it's definitely didn't grip like it was advertised to grip. And pretty much, once I get it out of here, I made a big mess because the filter collapsed because it was on there so tight I could not get the filter broken loose. So the filter actually crushed in places. And again, that comes from not putting oil on the gasket when you put it up in there. So you basically dry fit it in there. And that's probably been on there for way too long anyhow. So I'm going to get everything out from under here. I've just stuck the plug in. I haven't tightened it back up just so it doesn't trip all over the floor. I'm going to pull all this stuff out from under here, clean up under here, and then we'll put it all back together. I won't make you watch me clean it all up. What mess? There's no mess. I didn't make any mistakes. Everything went perfect, just like planned. Okay, what I want to do now is where the receiver is, where the actual oil filter goes on. I have to hold the camera and try to do this with my left hand, which I'm not left-handed. But reach up in there and wipe that off. It only takes a second, and this will prevent you from having the old gasket stuck to it. Or just clean it up because it's going to come off a lot easier next time you have to do this. So as I can see, I've got a nice clean filter receiver, so we're ready to put the filter back on. Again, my plug is not tight, and normally I wouldn't do it this way, but again, since things don't go perfect every time, that's how we're going to do it this time. Now back to this old filter. Again, I've got one glove on, one glove off, so I'm going to use my gloved hand. Again, you can see this thing collapse completely around the top. I can't really tell because the O-ring, of course, dropped down into the oil, so I can't tell if it was dry to start with. They make a couple different filter wrenches. They make a cap that slides over the end, which, of course, they didn't have the particular one I needed. You can also take a screwdriver, run it through the middle of it, and pull it off. And if this tears off, the block is harder than the oil filter. You can always chisel it off, which is a pain, but you can always get it off there. If it doesn't come right off and you don't have any extra tools or resources, stop where you're at, leave the old filter on, put the plug back in, put the oil back in it, and that way you're not stranding yourself. Because if you break this, or once I get to the point I got right here, there's a hole in the filter, I can't drive my vehicle anymore. So if you think something's going to break, take it somewhere and have it removed before you mess it up. So next thing I want to do is I want to open my filter up. I can already tell by the box that this is not the same filter that was in that, so I went ahead online. I double checked Fram's website, I double checked AutoZone, checked everywhere. This is the filter that's supposed to be on there, so that could be a problem too. Somebody didn't use the correct filter that went on there. It's a Pennzoil oil filter, so it's not a generic. I'm not sure why they used the different filter. There's a 4-cylinder and a 6-cylinder version of this. That probably fits the 4-cylinder. This is actually a 6-cylinder. Another thing, oil filters come dry. If you put this on without putting oil inside of it, basically what happens is your oil pump starts sucking air. You can actually do some damage to the motor by doing that. Usually only takes a few seconds and then it stops knocking and starts putting oil in it. But again, we're going to pre-fill this filter. It doesn't have to be filled all the way up. You don't have to max it out. Basically, I just do it till it fills up. Now inside there's the filter material. So the filter material is going to absorb some of this oil. While I'm waiting on it to go down, I'm going to take my finger and we're going to oil the outside of this. Now this is going to keep it from sticking to that base again like we had last time. And it's going to save some effort next time, hopefully. And again, we're not going to put it on nearly as tight as it was before. So I'm just going to top this off a little bit. You don't want to fill it completely unless you've got a straight up angle, which in this case I do. It doesn't have to be full, but the more you get in there, the less air you're going to suck through your motor. So as you can see inside, it's about halfway, 3/4 of the way up the filter. I'm just waiting again for those little paper fins to absorb the oil. Spin it around a little bit, it'll go down a little bit more. I'm going to top it off and then we're going to stick it back up in there. So my receiver's clean, my filter has oil in it. I've lubricated the gasket. I'm going to reach up in here and just spin this on. Righty tighty. Now, when I get on the other side of the camera, I'm just going to hand tighten this. If I get my head in the way, sorry. Try not to make you look at my pretty face. Basically, I'm just going to turn that as tight as possible with my hand. And I'm done. Now, if you don't have a good grip, if you put a filter wrench on there, do not turn it more than a quarter turn past where it is. So I'm down here. I'm going to go ahead and tighten my plug. Now again, this plug is 18 foot-pounds, 22 at the most. So in other words, you tighten it, but you don't want to crank it tight. Sorry, not left-handed again. I'm trying to stay out of the camera way. The last thing I want to do is wipe everything off. So I'm going to wipe off the drip on the bottom. Just going to wipe my filter off. It's always nice to have it nice and clean when you're done. This will do two things. One, if something does leak, when you look back under here, you'll be able to tell what's leaking. And it's not just some old oil dripping on the floor. And it's a lot better when you do it next time. So we're cleaned up, we're tight, so we're ready to add some oil to the top. Now I've looked this up. The oil capacity on this is 5 quarts with the filter. So we've already put half a quart in the filter, so make sure you don't overfill your engine or you'll be taking the plug back out and draining some of it out. So we're going to put basically 4.5 quarts in here. Filter here just to make life a little bit easier on me. And this is Pennzoil 5W30. And again, we're going 4.5 quarts because there's a half a quart inside of it. So if you're using individual quarts, you should end up with a total of 5 quarts. And if you're unsure, start with 4.5. You can always add more to it. 4 quarts is not going to blow up your engine, so I'm going to start with about 4.5. And then top it off from there. So once my oil's in, I give my filter a few seconds to drain down. The nice part about this, it's got a fill spout, so the oil goes in fast. Some engines start on top of the head and it takes forever for it to run down. I'll turn that back around the way it should be because that would drive me crazy. A little OCD going on there. Okay, make sure everything's back on. Cap's on. If you pull the dipstick, make sure your dipstick's back in. Move my towel so it doesn't get sucked in the fan. Not that it will hurt anything, but we'll move it anyhow. We're going to start the vehicle. We're going to let it run for 4 or 5 seconds. We're going to rev it up just a little bit. Not going to blow it up. We're not trying to tack it out, but just put a little pressure on the oil filter. Listen for any weird noises. And again, I've got a check engine light on that we're going to work on in a little bit. I'm going to give a little bit of gas. 2,000, 2,500 RPMs. You don't need to blow it up. Again, we're not trying to hit the rev limiter. And then we're going to shut it off. We're going to look underneath, make sure nothing's leaking. If we're all dry, we're going to move on to the air filter. So back under for the last time, hopefully today. My drain plug looks dry. Got my oil filter. Don't see anything on the oil filter. Oil filter looks in good shape. It's hard to see with the light, but pretty much I'm dry all around. So we'll get up top. We're going to check the oil and we'll be done with the oil change. All right, so we're back up top. We're going to do a check. Put it out of there, wipe it off first. Pull it back out, and we should be at the top dot. And we are at least half, maybe 3/4 of a quart low. I'll put that back in. Try not to drip it all over the place. For the funnel, that last little bit I didn't want to pour in. I'm pouring it in there now. But again, it's easier to add a little bit to it later than to take a little bit of it out. You want to give that probably 10-15 seconds at least to start to work down. We're going to check it again probably tomorrow just to make sure once everything settles. After it settles overnight, it'll kind of level off. About halfway up now. And they are correct. That was a full 5 quart 5 quarts of oil. And that's all you have to do to change the oil on a 2011 Ford Ranger. And hopefully for you, you don't run the same problem I did. Hopefully your filter comes right off. This is probably a 10-minute job, 15-minute job with the filter and run to the store. It took me about an hour. I think we need to do is close the hood. So prop, lift up slightly. Prop goes back into the holder down below. Hood about 3/4 of the way down. Let it go and just double check that it's shut. I'd like to thank everybody for watching. Please click like and subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them below.